Brian Butler from Sucker Punch, as planned, at 10 o'clock to see what time he wanted me. I'd phoned him the night before and he said, look, the chances are quite high it's going to be in the evening. I phoned him at 10 and he didn't reply, but he then phoned me back and said, you know, I'm on my way right now. We have a few of the Sucker Punch guys that have come over for sort of like a private sort of tutorial bit in the morning. He said, you're welcome to come and see that if you want. He said, and then come back again in the evening for the main sort of thing. So I ordered a taxi and I met Brian Butler, and I sort of was able to take videos and pictures. I met Brian Crenshaw, who is the manager there of the gym, and I saw the people, particularly a guy called Igor. He's training for a fight, and so he was sort of there, and when I got there they were in the boxing ring. There was him, there was Michael Goodman, who else was there in the morning? Oh, Francois Ambang turned up. So it was those three plus a few other people, and then both Brians were there as well. So that was interesting. After they'd done some kickboxing in the boxing ring there, Brian then went and helped out doing some pad work with some of the other people, and so the kickboxing and the pad work was going on sort of more or less at the same time, and then everybody came together before lunch for a wrestling practice, which was being led by Michael Goodman. So I was able to see the whole sort of spectrum there, and that was pretty good. And then after that, me, Brian and Igor went, and he took us in his car to his home to get changed, and I was presented with some merchandise there, which was fantastic, very nice. And then we went out for lunch, and we went to a Vietnamese place, which was very, very nice. Very nice food. Not particularly expensive, although Brian insisted on paying. You know, which I thought, well, I really ought to pay, but you know. So Brian paid for that. There was me and Igor. Brian and Michael Goodman was also there as well. He met us there. So that was fantastic. After that, I got a lift back here to the hotel with Brian, and then I awaited the arrival of VCU Ramfan. That's right, I met Ben in the evening. He came round about 4:30. He's everything I expected him to be. Very, very funny, very, very cool, very, very tall, very, very tall indeed. He's got his car, so he came round here, and we went out for dinner at this Quiznos place, which is just sort of round the other side there. And then we went off to the gym. When we got there, there were already classes going on in all three areas, you know, and we spent quite a long time sort of talking in the reception area because Brian was delayed. He didn't arrive. You know, we thought we'd wait for him really. When he arrived, we moved onto the mats to be able to sort of see things better, and I think Ben enjoyed it. Ben says that because he's been out of, you know, actually training for a while, he was soaking it all up like a sponge. I was hoping that he wasn't getting bored, because we were there for 2 or 3 hours. Yes, we were there for 2 or 3 hours. Towards the end, we got to see the proper sparring session between some of the people. Francois Ambang didn't show up for the evening, but he was replaced by Anthony Morrison, who I also met. They tell me that Levon Maynard is in fact coming in, but he won't be there until tomorrow, and of course I'm leaving tomorrow morning, so unfortunately we seem to have missed just ever so slightly. So of course there's reason there possibly to return to Virginia on a later States tour. So we were there for some time, and after the sparring, when things were sort of closing down, I was able to then do interviews and stuff like that, which was fantastic. So I really enjoyed it. After that, Ben dropped me off back here, and then Michelle phoned. So I was on the phone to Michelle for quite some time here. I had also received messages from County Mike and also from Tennessean, and I'd spoken to Chuck on the telephone as well, and obviously I'd spoken to VCU. I got up a little bit earlier, and I thought, sort of was lying back in bed a bit, and the phone rang, and it was Denise. Now, I'd spoken to Denise already on the phone the day before, after breakfast. I was coming out of breakfast, and she had phoned the front desk, and they said, well, rather than put her through to my room, I just accepted the call at her front desk. So she was on her way to work at the time, so we talked a little bit. This morning we talked more. She was having the day off, so that was good. And we got to talk for quite some time, which was good. It's always nice being able to talk to people as well over the phone. I mean, the US is quite large. There's not really much chance in me visiting every bit in the near future. You know, I've got to take it, you know, one stage at a time, really. So while I'm across here, I think just as important as meeting people is to hear from people. And particularly Michelle and Denise, I both heard from last time when I was here in 2007. And so it was really nice to see them, do you know what I mean, to hear from them. I managed to get my mobile phone to work. Phoning people is quite expensive. Texting isn't too bad, although I've discovered that I do have to pay when I receive texts as well. But, you know, the money is there to be used, so that's fantastic. I haven't forgotten anybody on my list of phoning, but I am spreading it out across the trip. I will, if you have given me your number and you are on that list that I said before. In fact, I shall get the list again. I shall read this list out. Then you can guarantee that sometime within this trip, barring some sort of disaster, you should definitely hear from me. Ben, VCU Ramfan, already has. I've already heard from Chuck. Nathan Rosario, I've already spoken to Bonnie. I spoke to her, in fact, this afternoon. She was the first person I called when the mobile phone started working. Denise, I've already heard from her. Odd Todd, Michelle, Atom, Shane, Amy, Tennessean, and Preach. Ben is also working tomorrow, but he thinks he can pick me up and take me to the station, so we need to arrange that as well. But other than that, things are quite good. Quite brilliant.